kind. And again, first I want to apologize. I think everybody knows that with Vicki did retire. There's Vicki's retirement parties today at Catholic Charities. Vicki usually was in charge of sending out all the notices and all the information with the LBA. This month, starting in, we basically used our Latonia Business Association email address to send out all the notices, and obviously, I think all the notices went to spam. So there's not a whole lot. So that's one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of people here. I know in the bank over the last week or so, I was getting people coming in saying, "Hey, aren't you having a meeting this Monday?" And I said, "Yes, we are." Well, they didn't get the notices. So I think we've got that fixed for the next week or the next month. I think we're going to work with Catholic Charities. Everything will still be coming from Catholic Charities, hopefully. But again, we'll keep everybody abreast of that. Also on the tables, we do have the monthly meetings. So if you want to take a picture of those on your phone, if you don't get the notices, you'll know that we still are having the monthly meetings. So,
first, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. They are posted on there as well.
I'd like to go ahead and get started. I know we have a few new people here, so let's start over here. Kris?
All right, thanks, Pat. Hey, good morning, everyone. Kris Ebstel. I just purchased the Latonia and Taylor Mill McDonald's in October, so under new management. And just really looking forward to getting closer to the community and other business owners. I live in Cincinnati, so I don't reside here in Taylor Mill or Latonia, but as much as possible looking to, integrate myself. I've got a lot of kids that work and go to school here, as well as a lot of parents that work in my restaurant and have kids that go to school here. So as much as possible, trying to connect with all of you. I spend a lot of time in the Kenton County Library right there. That's my so-called office, as I have meetings with people. And I had spent 10 years with McDonald's corporate, so I had 10 years corporate experience, and now going into the franchisee side. So nice to meet you all, and look forward to connecting with everyone.
Thanks, Kris. Thank you. Yeah, when I first met Kris a couple months ago, and that's what he was talking about, what it can do to get involved with the community. And I said, well, we used to have Ronald McDonald, who was our MC at the, everything. So hopefully we'll bring some others back. Go ahead, new people. Go ahead, you stand. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Rebecca Records. I'm running for Kenton County Commissioner for the 3rd District.
Great. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Wilbert, I'm a Covington resident, and I'm the founder and director of Cup Streets, which is a grassroots effort to work on every aspect of the streetscapes throughout the city, understanding that every neighborhood has different concerns and different needs. Looking to try to gather every kind of local intersection by intersection concern folks have throughout the city, and then come up with standards that perhaps we can present to the city so the city can get moving on some of these
Great.
improvements that I think we all need to make Covington more livable city and walkable, bikeable, and friendly to the car city.
Thank you. Welcome. Membership, Tom?
The dues were sent out in December, so if you didn't get one, let me know. I have two extra ones here. Also, we have about so far 18 paid members that have sent in their dues. On the Halloween block party for 2026, believe it or not, is October 24th. We got that date, same place.
Got that, Kris?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right across the street. And also the secretary here, Karen, asked us when we leave if we could take the chairs and put them over by against the wall. The Latonia Elementary cheerleaders are going to use this space for practice, and she would rather us do it than have the little girls do it. So just take the chair and put them against the wall, she would appreciate it.
Just a little bit more on Latonia Elementary. I guess everybody's familiar with what happened up there with the gymnasium, partial collapse of the garden side of the gymnasium, and they basically were off all last week. They're learning it from home, but I think that they've had structural engineers up there, and they're planning on going back to work soon, back to school using the facilities. It's all safe and everything to go up there. So I would imagine that's why Latonia Latonia Elementary is utilizing all the other resources that they've got in the Latonia area. Billy, go ahead with Latonia today. I know we haven't talked to you since October, so what's happened in November, December, and January?
Oh, this is so long. Okay, well, that just gave me so much information. November was fun. We had our happy hour for LBA, and so we had a lot of friends come that have their own businesses. They support the businesses, or I think the first secretary of the LBA, or was she the first, Rita, do you remember? We had some former officers from the LBA show up at the happy hour, so it was a good time. We followed that with the Small Business Saturday at the end of the month, and so that is usually a busy weekend for Latonia. And all the businesses got together, they decorated. LBA did a lot of decorations if you saw during the holiday season. They partnered also with our other community group, Latonia Uptown, and we were able to do the Christmas tree and the bowls, and so it's kind of a little bit of merriment. A lot of times people will say, who put that up? Well, that is one of the perks of being a member, and it's one of the perks just businesses getting together and being able to appreciate the decorations and stuff that makes it fun. As far as Small Business Saturday, that evening we had Light Up Latonia with sports carriage rides. It's really fun. I think we had a larger group than we've had in the past. If you ever want to come to an event like that, it's usually the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I think that's going to be the next Small Business Saturday, and so be sure to come. It's usually around 6 o'clock, and there's Santa. It was incredible this year, and so we definitely did that. We had some heartbreaking moments. Gary, many of us, Logan, he just started feeling something vintage on Southern, and then there were vendors, and then also residents in that building. There was a fire, and so he lost his business, and the vendors also lost theirs, and so that was pretty sad. What's beautiful, you mentioned the cheerleaders being here. What's beautiful is when other businesses love on other businesses and other community members, and so we have rallied around Logan. We're not sure whether he's going to be able to go in that building or he's going to be in Latonia, but we were trying to make a transition of losing something like that. I don't know if you can make it more cheap, or whatever, but fortunately the vendors will be repaid as far as some of their inventory, and Logan found out more promising information about what was covered, and so he doesn't have to feel that loss completely. But Logan was a new business. He still loves Latonia. He wants to be a part of it, and so we're trying to find options for him of what he can do now. But we're going to give him some time to come through. So anyway, Gary was so helpful. There were so many people that came in. We did a fundraiser. From the fundraiser in December, time flows so quickly. We were able to raise in one night over $2,000. The music, Logan picked that up. He was able to help the vendors, until the insurance piece. But the music was donated. So many people came in and were very supportive. And we filled the house, and so it's just a real quick turnaround to help him. So if you see Logan out and about, definitely encourage him. He is still supportive and still is showing his face in the tournament. Gary is very successful. He's really, and he's got sweat equity, that guy. Gary, Ginger Blue, he came in after Unlock the Block this summer, and he moved in on Southern, and they had 2 spaces, and now he's occupying the corner. Do you know what you're going to do with that, Gary?
We're working on a few things.
Okay, got some things.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Across the track, the old Pandemonium, I hate to say that, or Funny Farm, some of you older folks know Funny Farm. There's a new place called Hub. They catered at our LBA meetings before, but they officially opened, I think, in November. And so go see them. They're open, and they are, I believe, doing well. They're packing the house, and so what their goal is, too, is across the tracks to really kind of blossom that area, too.
They do serve lunch as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Open 11 a.m.
Yeah. And speaking of lunch, Granny's has expanded their hours. So if you know the former Lena's and Granny's, Greg was there for lunch. They have expanded their And then our Eagle Scout. Cole Patterson finished his project at the Rails Road Park in Latonia. It's part of the Cincinnati Railroad Museum. He built another library. And so part of his projects were to oversee restoration of the other little libraries. And so he is working on that, but he did do another little library. And his Boy Scout church is actively improving that area. So much to update on that, but there are some changes going on, new businesses and new tenants. There's some buildings have been sold in Liddy's Corner. And so, a lot of times people think that they Fred, and I talked about this before, but it might not be a new business, it could be restoration to an older property, and that's the pressure, and that's the plus too, so the benefit. We had a scholarship winner, Katie Ball. She super great student. She is returning her scholarship. She has other funding, and our scholarship is then that money will go back into the scholarship pool. That scholarship is going to be awarded for this year to a non-traditional student and a traditional. And that non-traditional can be a adult. It could also be vocational route or whatever, but you'll see more information. We'll be releasing that information in February. But Katie was gracious enough to say, I don't need this money. You guys have given it to me. I'm full as far as scholarship opportunities, and so she returned it back so that way another student can apply and get that funding. That I think that's all.
Murals?
Murals, yeah. Hey, Paul at the library. Warren Sieber is going to be hosting a class, I believe in April. We can talk all about that. But we're going to host a class and teach people about how to do a scaled mural painting. We are doing a mural of the underpass, which will be, if you're driving into Latonia, it's near the refinery, or Ashland Oil, it's going to be that underpass. And so that will happen in May, but in April, at the library, we'll be teaching people how to mix colors, and then also picking out an assigned area. So if you do want to be part of that mural, you can, it's similar to like a paint your own, but you can volunteer for a certain section and learn about your section. We're going to try to gouge one out so that people can kind of see the scale of what that looks like. We're going to have to do it in a scaled fashion just because of the safety component of that corner. 5 to 10 people would be the most at one time. So we are going to have a sign up for that. There you go, friends.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I'm going to jump in real quick before you do.
Go ahead.
Regarding the scholarship. So just when you guys are coming in, and anybody that comes in, when you pay for your lunch, the extra $5 that you're making for these donations are coming through. That is where we're funding these scholarships from. And just a small example, we were reached out to by the Covington Rotary Club that actually has been doing this and had a scholarship for, I'm going to say probably 15 years, if not longer. And the number of students that come in and apply for our scholarship has been so high, and it's been so publicly kind of just put out there that we're doing this and people are applying. We actually were then taking the people that applied for our scholarship that we did not get and giving it to them because they had no one applying for theirs. So we are still working with the community. So even if you do have a student or someone that's applying for ours, if they were not able to win or if they did not win our scholarship, we are then going through, we are working with other people within our community to try to help them get scholarships and to go in and increase season from there. So just know that when you guys are making these donations, even if they're not able to get it with us, we are then putting out there and trying to help them find other scholarships out there as well.
I'm going to piggyback on that. What I love about Katie is she's very loyal to this area, and she wanted it to go back to another student in the community because she felt like her pot was full. She wanted to share that. So most kids wouldn't, and they'd be like, I'm going to get a new laptop or whatever. And she's like, I'm going to do this that because I'm tired.
And that amount, what was the amount of that scholarship? $500. So that's, yes, that's.
Katie, Sadie, Holy Cross girl, she won 2 years ago. She's thriving. She's doing really well in NKU. Very appreciative. She was a scholarship winner. And then our non-traditional student who she had our welding scholarship. She graduated from Ensweiler and now she's pursuing a higher degree as far as in construction at Gateway. So they're utilizing what we're doing as far as funds.
Good.
So thank you.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool to see them thrive.
Without further ado, let's go on to our guest speaker, which everybody has met. Okay. Kris Knochelmann is a lifetime resident of Kenton County. Growing up in Taylor Mill and Covington, is the youngest of the 9 children. Graduated from Covington Latin, then Xavier University with a degree in accounting, before taking the lead at Schneller Knochelmann Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Kris and his wife Lisa now own the Schneller Knochelmann Plumbing, Heating, and Air, business founded in 1928, employs over 100 team members with offices in Covington and Cincinnati. Kris worked in the plumbing business since he was 15 years old. As Kenton County Judge Executive, Kris is an advocate for government efficiency and effectiveness, regional and county cooperation, and accountability. From leading the effort to reform the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport Board to improving Northern Kentucky's economic development organization, Kris has actively worked to improve the performance of the region's organizations, supporting private enterprises, enterpriseship, and job creation. In addition to his responsibilities as Kenton County Judge Executive, Kris serves on numerous boards, which include the Northern Kentucky Area Development District Board of Directors, the Northern Kentucky Triad Board, the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and a lot more. And also the Library Board, correct? Appointment, correct, okay. Among his accomplishments, Kris has received numerous awards from the Boy Scouts of America, NKY 2020 Community Leadership Award, and the Doris Wiedemann Memorial Outstanding Board Member Award. Kris and his wife Lisa are parishioners of St. Joseph still. Good, I got that right. Okay. They have 3 children, Liz, Ben, and Drew, and they also live in Kenton County. Kris, it's all you. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it. Do I need, I don't need this. You don't need that. Just, we can turn it off. So good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity, Pat. And I have to apologize that one of the last times we were scheduled to speak, and I canceled on in the last minute. And so they said, well, the next crowd, when you come, I'm going to make sure there's a monster crowd. But, by the way, I could talk to a wall, as most of you guys know, so I'm glad to be here and chat about what's going on. A couple of things. First off, I want to just make sure that it's kind of funny looking at history. And he said, grew up in Taylor Mill and in Covington. So we lived at the top of the hill, Sunny Acres. And for those who know where Sunny Acres is, that was where we grew up. My old family house is actually my nephew who still lives there. And then when we moved to Covington, we moved down to the river. But quite frankly, in my 0 to 12 and 13 was Latonia. And I was telling Meg about this, I think telling you on the webinar, or maybe told Tom this, that I took piano lessons on DeCourcy from a guy named Jimmy Lee. It was Jimmy Lee Eldred was his name. And in fact, basketball practice with St. Anthony, where I went to grade school, was back here at Trinity's gym, which is right across the street. And of course, I was horrific as an athlete. And so my mom went to Weight Watchers around the corner. So we parked at the post office, and I would come around and I'd walk the block while she was in Weight Watchers because I didn't want to do my homework like I was supposed to. So I just would walk basically in and out around the Holy Cross and stuff. And I think about the days of in fact, my sister was a manager at McDonald's when it first opened up in Latonia. Brother worked at Burger King when the Burger King was down the street. So again, Latonia and Covington is just part of, Covington in general is just part of my DNA, and it's part of me. And I'm very grateful to be able to serve, and I want to cover some stuff that we've been able to get accomplished in Covington primarily, Kenton County as a whole, and then give you some ideas of what projects we're working on moving forward. I look at my phone, by the way, it's because the notes that I got, Meg and I generated as I was coming out to make sure I didn't forget stuff. Because she knows, she said, do I need to get you your prep stuff? I said, no, I don't like doing prep stuff, but it shows when I wing it. But let's talk about the past. And in fact, it's a little bit political, but I'll share this with you. Rebecca's here, and I'll share this with you. One of the things this fiscal court has to do by statute is to redistrict. So for many, many years, we got 3 districts that we've got: a county commissioner form of government. So for some of you who are either residents of Kentucky or Ohioans, we do it uniquely. We're not magistrate form of government, it's commissioner form, so we have to redistrict, and that's done by the fiscal court. Well, you don't try and district out your members. So, and they make a big deal of this nationally, but it happens locally as well. That we had some really weird borders because we had a commissioner who's sitting, and Commissioner Drought, who's not running again, lived in Edgewood. So that was kind of a weird thing that he was stuck into unincorporated Kenton County primarily, and Taylor Mill, or parts of Taylor Mill, I guess. So we redistricted. So ultimately what we did is we redid it by population residency. It's not by voters or by party, it's by where people live. And we essentially have done a River City district, a suburban district, and a more rural district. Now, we didn't do the numbers really well because that middle district is District 3, which is what Rebecca's running for. So Gabe Sonny blames me and I blame Gabe. So either way, District 3 is in the middle. Didn't make sense, but that's District 3. Rebecca's got a lot of great service to the city of Erlanger and is running for commissioner in that district with a couple of other people who are going to be going after that seat. And then, which is really nice, in Kenton County, we have the ability to have somebody kind of live in and not represent, because they all represent the entire county, but somebody has to live in the more urban area, somebody's from the suburban, and then somebody will be in the generally more rural area to give that voice to the community, which makes sense. Everybody should be mentally thinking always, well, how does this benefit the county as a whole, not just the area they live in, but that's one of the reasons we did that. So, with that said, that's the new district, and I've got a couple of coming races in both May and in November. Part of that is, we all, the commissioners and myself, serve all of Kenton, and one of the key things is working with the city. And I can tell you, and got a lot of great, all these guys do a fantastic job working with the city. We've got a great relationship with Mayor Ron and Sharma Lee, the new city manager. Quite frankly, just great opportunity to do some great things into the future for the city and really the county. And I believe this, and I've said this for many years, is that the heart of Kenton County is the urban part of Covington. If Covington doesn't succeed, the rest of Kenton County will fail. That's a fact. And quite frankly, if Kenton County doesn't succeed, the region fails. Yeah, Boone County succeed with the airport, but Kenton County, it being the center of it, being we've got a more diverse population, being more urban, suburban, and rural. We've got to succeed. So, which is also one of the reasons why I believe strongly, and we need both Boone and Campbell to succeed as well. But it's a critical thing to make sure that Kenton County does well, and therefore that Covington does well. And some of those things that we may make mistakes, but the intention is always, how can we make sure we elevate individuals to live a healthier, safer, more prosperous life in our community? What can we do to make that happen? And that means we've got to work together, we've got to challenge each other, we've got to look at opportunities to bring investment, improve jobs, make sure the mental and the physical health of our residents is good, and at least give people an opportunity to do that. And I think those are some of the things we've been working on for the past number of years. And real proud of. And a couple of things I'll share with you that we just wrapped up in the past year that you probably heard about. Really very, very happy and proud about. The opening of the One in KY Center, which is the relocation of all the regional growth organizations under one roof. And if you're a Northern Kentucky resident, Boone, Kenton, and Campbell, you own that building. The Port Authority owns the building, which is a unique entity. So as residents of the community, those entities that are there serving everything from economic development to tourism and also the life science lab or facility, pay rent, most of them, and that is owned by the region. So it's like your government building, but it is the most regional of all buildings in the community, and I can go into details about that later, or another time, but that is an asset the community owns. And out of it should come cooperation, prosperity, and really, really is something that brings a lot of investment to the community. The second thing is Spark House, which is the entrepreneurship hub for Northern Kentucky, also owned by the region through the port. So if you're a resident of Kenton County and Boone or Campbell, that building is owned by us, which is to do what? Support entrepreneurship, support businesses, and gives a pathway for funders who need to invest in businesses, a pathway that they can connect with people with ideas and products and services to have a way to get started and prosper from, and hopefully get out of that building to lease with flexible lease terms and flexible lease space to make sure that they have a pathway to get their business successful and do all kinds of great things. Hopefully grow and stay in Northern Kentucky and ideally in Kenton and Covington. So those are two monster projects. The third one that we've just done, a unique one, is the completion of the parking garage behind the government center. Why in the world does that matter? Parking, by the way, is a bane of many of your all's existence, right? you know, we want to have people park on the street. We want to have people park in front of businesses and go in and buy and move on and support parking for residential. But we built this parking garage. Well, why is that interesting? 2 points. One of which is because the state paid for most of it. The state, because of the Brent Spence Bridge project, was getting rid of parking space that essentially was underneath our parking garage, underneath the expressway in front of the building, and then in front of it. And for that, was able to make a contribution financially to the county, which we then put into building a 250-car parking garage. The thing that I said at the time was, I said it didn't make sense to me to have a parking garage which is empty at 5 o'clock onward, so why don't we do something unique? So what we're doing on top of that, and you see construction down at the corner of Main and Martin Luther King Boulevard today, is apartments. So there's going to be a parking structure above that, which the county has equity in. So we put a couple $1 million into the building as well, so it'll be about a $30 million residential development on top of the county parking structure, which is paid for, and that will be at market rent, and those 125 units roughly is going to be managed by Urban Sites, and Urban Sites then, who's done a lot of stuff in OTR and in Cincinnati, and also redeveloped the old Kenton County courthouse in Covington, is going to manage that. If and when it ever sells, the county will be an equity partner in the financial benefit of that sale. So that money will not only come back, but the idea is we're adding residential housing, helping to add residential housing to the core, be a high-quality development with a great developer, and then give activity to our block so that at 5 o'clock, it's not just crickets. And we have people who work late, of course, but the idea, let's let this thing turn. And I said, somebody came to me and said, what happens if all the tenants are parking in the garage, and then the employees who park in the garage as well, what if they're running out of spaces? And I said, that'll be a wonderful problem to have. We'll fill up Main Street, we'll fill up MLK, and it is vital. It's energy. It's a good thing. It's not a bad. And by the way, the numbers will work out just fine. So those are some big, exciting things that were completed, or pretty much completed in the past year. Above and beyond the normal stuff, one of the things that we're also very proud of that got wrapped up at the end of the year, you may have seen, is our, essentially they are social workers working with our police department, and our police departments, plural. So what that is that we've hired certified, trained social workers who work with our police department with things such as addiction overdoses that happen through the police department. Again, why do you care about that? Well, today, if you think about it, an officer who's been trained to protect us in the community has to go into these very tough situations that may or may not have been trained to handle. But we want to have individuals, let's just take an overdose, for example, or an addiction issue. A police officer now goes into that, and a person who is a social worker is actually able to be with that officer when everything's safe, and give help to that individual who might be into that situation and get them connected to either treatment, detox treatment, and hopefully a pathway onto success after that. The great thing about that is we're paying with that, by the way, paying for that with the opioid dollars that the county got. We've got multiple years of funding, but we're doing that in partnership with all the cities. In fact, we've only got one very small city that I think it's more of a clerical thing that they haven't signed off on participating. But from Covington through the entire community, we are doing that with, I guess all but 2 cities, to basically be there to support individuals who run into this situation to get them into treatment. It's been something that was really, lives will be changed because of it. As horrific as the opioid epidemic was, those dollars have been put into a pot that will invest in the community to elevate safety and get individuals hopefully to, and there's already a great track record. The number of individuals who otherwise would have been missed and been out there on their own are now getting connected with across the county. And by the way, Boone and Campbell are doing their own versions of this with different police departments, but it's something that's really been elevated. And kudos to Rebecca on this one too. Erlanger had a social worker working with their police department for many years, kind of a proof of concept that they worked on. Alexandria did another one earlier on. I'll tell you that it's because of good work at the beginning and constantly looking at elevating the results that I think we have something like we have today. So a number of things. Those are some of the exciting things that are related to you as both those who care deeply about Latonia and Covington in particular. Want to talk about a couple of big projects that are in the news. A lot of these guys already know this very well, but one of which is the new CCBE, the Commonwealth Center for Biomedical Excellence for the new Chase Law School and UK Medical School, which will go in the surface parking lot across from River Center. And that project will be getting bids back in a matter of a week. We'll be hopefully having a contract for a builder, hopefully within the next 30 days, that we will decide on who's going to build it. What's that all about? $125 million contribution from the state to build this school building, which is to do some exciting things that are, like have these professional students in law school and medical school in Covington, and be able to have a wonderful facility. Highland Heights campus is wonderful at NKU, but it is in Chase has a lot of old bones and some new bones, but this will give them a brand new facility that will help be a draw for law students. And will come to Covington to learn there right at the riverfront, as well as UK. So UK Medical School on campus, if you've been there, it's a good facility. It's not a great facility. Now there will be an extraordinarily great facility in Covington to support UK Medical School students. It allows them to grow, recruit, retain, and make sure that those individuals both can connect to future jobs and both law firms, and obviously we want to have big signs that says NKU and UK that shine to Cincinnati. We know that Cincinnati has to succeed for us to succeed, but a little bit of competition is healthy for everybody. But how proud we all will be when we see those signs up there that show, I'm not a UK grad, I'm not an NKU grad, but you know what? I love both those universities, and I want them both to excel, and maybe we'll do that in Covington with the law school and with the medical school. And what does that look like? Well, the Port Authority will own that building, so it'll probably be somewhere around 7 or 8 stories. And the plan for that project right now is to have the parking lot that is surfaced today will actually be covered by a cap, which will be called an amenity deck. And about a third of that site will be the building that will then go up in front of the parking garage, and hopefully, if the budget allows, connect to the garage so students and professors and stuff can get to the parking easily. If not, they'll just come down the elevator and walk in. Again, all this has to be done under budget, so if you wonder why I'm getting very gray involved, that's one more stressor that we got to figure out in the next matter of a couple of weeks, and make sure we get that accomplished. Because everything's very cheap to build nowadays, as you know, and it always comes under budget. It's very easy to get contracts built and accomplished. So, but the Port Authority will own that building as well. So it'll be debt-free as open, and then the universities pay essentially rent to, or not rent really, they'll be paying utility costs and whatnot to function in that building. But very exciting when you think about hundreds of students being right there in the urban core, added to the offices, and we all want River Center to be packed. We want to see the Latonia Shopping Center packed. We want to see all these things with bodies who are making a living and providing for their families, and it's just one more piece that we can to support. Moving on out here to Latonia, and this is something we did in the past year or so, which was some of our COVID money that the county got. We invested in the Ensweiler Institute, by the way, and Billy was referring to that, is that so part of their build out, the physical space, we put $150,000 into that building, into their tenant space to help build that out and finish it out. We don't make a big deal out of it, which we shouldn't, but it's just those are the kind of things that if everybody does a little, nobody has to do a lot. And I'm very excited, and I think as you all, when you see that, what's happening at Ensweiler, you want to see additional students, both traditional and non-traditional, obviously go through that building for whatever they need, as well as it, of course, then very, very supportive of day when the library went into the reminds me of my old days of as a kid going to Ben Franklin. And I don't know exactly if that was the same spot, but somewhere near Twin Fair and Ben Franklin. Those were good days of Latonia walking through the shopping center. Does anybody know what year that shopping center was built? Would it have been 50s?
Mitchell?
Because you're old, Tom.
Because, thank you, you said it before I did.
Because you're the oldest.
I would say so, yes. I would say so.
60s, 50s?
No, I would say 60s.
Okay. I just thought that was the most exciting thing. And by the way, if you got some at Twin Fair, it was one thing, but if you got to go get something in Value City, you were really, really, and then the shelves at Ben Franklin between candy and then all the markers and pencils and stuff, you get all excited about that stuff.
Yeah.
But I digress. So those are a couple of other big projects that are right here in the urban core. One thing that is all of our projects that you get excited about is the new county park. So hopefully by summertime, we will be have final plans, which is at the old Fox Run Golf Course, and it'll be it's 25 acres or so that we built out, and I think it'll take about a year and a half, 2 years to build out, but it'll be a completed project. Some exciting things that'll be neat out there. For hopefully, the draw is we want to make sure this facility is a draw for families and individuals to get away and do something different. It's not going to be duplicative of what's going on in Erlanger at Eons, or things at Devou, or quite frankly, even things out at Idlewild or whatever. There will be bike trails. There will be both. There'll be a lot of accessible amenities. For example, one of them that I'm very excited about is because Fox Run, for anybody who's been out there, it's a very hilly golf course, or was, and there's a lot of ridges. And so we're calling them canopy walks. So there'll be actually walks that you'll be able to walk up into the trees a bit. And there'll be some towers that you'll be able to climb up into. We're hoping we've got some partnerships with outside agencies who would actually do some really exciting things, both if you're physically limited or physically able to do some, and I'll leave it there, but do some more exciting things because once you're out in nature and getting out there. If anybody's actually, it's been open for years now for walking and hiking, but it's hilly, and it's, and sometimes you can even get disconnected from your cell phone, which that's not a bad thing sometimes, just to get out and get into nature. So that property is going to be redeveloped to a pretty amazing park. This fiscal court, all three commissioners, when I asked them about it, hey, are we cold on this? Are we hot on this? Do we do it? Do we not do it? And all three of them said, move some dirt and get it done. So we're moving and we're going to get it done. And it'll be a really nice asset that, in addition to investing in our existing parks through the county, that we have to make sure that it's something we're all very proud of. And I think that we deserve that. We did a study when I first ran for judge. We did an evaluation of some of the things that Kenton County and Northern Kentucky needed. And one thing then and now is that we're generally underparked. Now with Eons and adding to Kenton County's park, we'll come closer. But if you look at the percentage of our area, including the population and the geography that we cover, if you look at some of the benchmarks around the country, we just are underparked. And it was really horrific if you took the golf courses out. Granted, I mean, we all love to golf. I love to golf. I'm terrible at it. But not everybody gets access to those parks or to that green space. So the goal has been to try and make sure that individuals have more access for free to go out with their family, go out by themselves, enjoy nature, get some peace of mind, and I think that even after Eons and Kenton County is done, we'll still be there'll be an opportunity to put more green space in our community, which is, by the way, a great economic development driver too. We see economic development projects daily where these big national companies and regionals, they'll ask, right? Access to housing and workers, yes. But they do say, what's your green space look like? What are your parks like? Are they high quality? Are they something that's a draw or not? So we got to continue to make those investments. So looking forward, I will say this, by the way, individuals have said, well, Kris, why don't you take that 200 and some odd acres and sell it? And we did an investigation on both commercial and residential. Could we sell it? To verify, kind of check the box, because I did not want to ever sell it for my earlier point. But the other part of it is most of the property, if not all of it, was bought with federal grants. And so once you do that, if you ever turn around and divest of it, the funds go back to the federal government. And that would be stupid, right? I mean, would anybody agree, let's get rid of 225 acres and have it developed and get the money out of it? It goes back to the feds. We got plenty of area to get developed and redeveloped. We don't need to get rid of green space. And that's one of the reasons why it's kind of a nice protection that we had to not have to go down that pathway, that we have that asset as a community. So moving forward, I talked to you about a couple of big projects. We'll finish this year with this fiscal court, and then next in January of 27, we'll have at least 2 new commissioners. Beth will hopefully stick around. She's been a fantastic partner for many years. We look forward to helping both everything from the mental and physical health of the community, the financial health, which I'll tell you the county's in the best financial position we've ever been in. I'm really, really proud of the work we've done there, which has basically put us in a position where we can make some investments and take care of our existing assets. And how that's been done is by basically having a good mixture between payroll tax and property tax. And then we also did a study, and a number of you guys know this, we fixed our payroll tax issue a number of years ago. What the net result is that we were correct and that we had to get to a point where we were able to get fewer dollars and shove down the dollars generated by property tax and allow for more based upon property or payroll tax. Primarily because 70% of our people working in Kenton County don't live here. So we had a huge burden on residents of Kenton County compared to those who were coming in and utilizing our great community to make a living, but they have to pay their share. And so now that's been pretty much rebalanced and put us in a position to be in a great position for the next, hopefully 30 to 50 years on a fiscal mindset. Now we have to look at the opportunities for business, which is one of the reasons why we're focused on economic development, entrepreneurship through Spark House, efficient government and operations of our agencies that are at One NKY Center, and really just we send the message it's a great place to do business here in Covington and Kenton County. And what do we do to help those individuals and businesses start, grow, and stay here? Because in the end of it, without employers, you don't have employees, and we need both of those. And so we're going to continue working on that. So I'll be quiet. I don't know if Pat's going to let me take any questions.
Question. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Any questions? I'm sure people have got some.
Come on, Tom. I know you got one. Oh, yeah.
I golf out Kenton County, golf.
Yes, sir.
The past 3 or 4 years, they've made some nice improvements out there. Does Kenton County have any input in those improvements that are being made?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you opened the door, and I can't believe I missed it. In addition to the park, so we totally have control of that. So I could fire Dave Prue, which no one's going to do that. Or Troon Golf, which they've done a fantastic job of managing it. I think hopefully you feel that way. Dave's he's all about customer service.
One of the assets out there.
He's been amazing, and the good news is he's got a good group behind him, and that's been a really big win. So when I first came in, the guy who had been running it stole about $300,000 from the county, which we did get about 90% money back, by the way. And then I realized it was always became political or personality driven. It's like, for God's sake, let good operators run the golf course. Because if you can get a good operator and you're owned by the city or owned by the county, that's great. But it's like, dear God, if something falls apart with that person, to hire another person to manage it is just tough. But Dave has done a great job. We've reinvested, and we actually get $50,000 a year for lease from them. And then we participate in profit share. So we've actually gotten, I think, I'm not going to be exact on this, but I think we've gotten about $100,000 in a year plus the 50 from Troon to basically operate the golf course. Now we've put a lot of money into capital. I know that no one liked the old cart paths, which we finally got that all redone and repaved. And in terms of the turf and all that stuff, they know what's done and they know how to get it done. So they've really done an awesome job. But what is happening is we're going to redo the clubhouse and the whole entrance. So the building will be totally elevated. The plans are to do some exciting, kind of hear it first, but we'll improve the driving range in a pretty substantial way. We're not going to tear down the building and build a new one. That's stupid. But we are going to upgrade it to modern standards for both event space, not to compete with the private sector, but we've got to support the golf outings that are out there, which a lot of them are fundraisers, right, which help our community there. And, Twin Oaks is great, but we want those DeVue's awesome. But Kenton County's got something unique with both 18-hole courses, but the clubhouse will be invested in. And why we did that, we had originally planned on, with the new park, to do a number of big shelters, and we're still going to probably do a 3-season shelter that'll be pretty big with some garage doors and things. But we thought about a more of a building, and we looked at it and said, we don't want to compete with the McHale's on their facilities or anybody else. How do you do it where you support families and small business gatherings and just don't have a venue? And then we said, well, let's do this. Why don't we put that money in the golf course into the clubhouse? And so that's the plan. So while the new park's being built, there will be probably a good 6 to 8 months of construction of the clubhouse to make it something really special. And so, long answer for a very short question. That you weren't going there, but
You see a lot of improvements, like I say, last 3 or 4 years, you can see every year you go out there, the improvements that they've made. They've all been very good.
Yeah, you know, and you've got to do that, right? You want to have people, so, yes, thank you. I'll stop there. Other questions?
Anybody else?
Okay, thanks, guys.
Chris, thank you very
Yes.
much, we appreciate
Good
it.
being with you.
We already went over the block party, we got that. April, anything for Latonia Uptown?
No, we're good.
Meeting
We have a meeting next week.
next week? Okay, next Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
City, anything, Patrick?
Well, for me, small business incentive deadline, February 6th, so that's coming up. So if you're doing a facade grant, you might want to start meeting with our historic preservation person or just zoning in general, regulatory in general. Anyone else have anything there?
I'll throw one thing out because you were talking about the expanded hours for grannies and some of the others. Don't forget, all those folks from PPD are going to be moving into the industrial building out there and Go-Go Meds as well. So if you've got some kind of promotional item for the restaurants here in Latonia, letting those folks know what some of their lunch options are going to be. These are higher wage jobs, so they're folks that aren't always necessarily, and I don't want to be pejorative about that because I bring my lunch to work sometimes too. But they're going to be people who are going to be looking to eat out occasionally as well. So let them know you're here so they don't just pull in the parking lot, go to work, and go home. So that they'll get out, especially in nice weather, and eat in restaurants.
When's the date for the move? When are they gonna be moving in?
I don't know what the exact dates are. One is in the fall, I think.
Yeah, they're still working on the build out of the space.
Is it spring, summer, fall, pretty much? Is it, you know, you're looking in October sometime? Thing like, this is something that we
We'll check
as,
with Josh on that. But
Okay,
it's something,
yeah.
I want to throw it out so you all will be thinking about how
Right.
you want to maybe mark.
we've been thinking about this ever since they signed that up there. You know, as the Latonia Business Association, we've been putting together, kicking around ideas of how we can get people to come down the hill, go to work and turn left instead of turning right and going back up the hill. You know, I know you've talked about walking through the paths and things like that, something that brings everybody down to Latonia. And that's something that we're working on. We still want to get something, you know, when we had some of the other businesses way back when move in, we had more or less a welcome kit. We wanted to get something like that, maybe a video, maybe something that shows people what Latonia has to offer. You know, I think that it's going to be something that we really need to do as a group to make people aware that Latonia is here, and we do have paint stores, we do have restaurants, we do have shopping.
We'll get the latest dates from them. They
Okay,
kinda move
yeah,
around a
if we could get those, that'd be great. Go ahead, Billy.
I cannot remember who purchased it, but do say something to John from B&E. John has had being decorating for, I believe, almost 4 decades.
Right.
He just transitioned and
Right.
sold, and so he's going to be there for another year.
Right,
But then the company is no longer.
right, yeah. Yeah, he's gonna be there for another year, and then he's,
But
But,
definitely say something. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's kind of gutted a little bit because that's been a family legacy. So, but he did transition, and they're very happy that we bought it, and they still want to be the same
But-
as far as service.
but that's, if anybody's got any suggestions on what we can do to get those people, you know, those employ 100 and, I don't know how many,
Over 300.
over 350 people, you know, we've just got to get a way to introduce Latonia to them, because a lot of them most probably have got no idea what we have to offer, so.
And that's something I think we brainstorm a little bit too, when the time comes when they
That's-
actually do like a ribbon cutting or something, like
Yep.
somehow tie that energy into like making
Mm-hmm.
introductions to Latonia and their employees to
That's
build
some-
that awareness. So-
Something we've been thinking about is having a small, you know, when they do have their ribbon cutting, and when they do there in the summertime, have something up there, have a job, not a job fair, but the Taste of Latonia, have something up there in their parking lots, just to get, so those people understand what we're doing. You know, it used to be, I know when we had the state building going up there, we had flyers that were printed and so forth, we had 10% off coupons, and we didn't get anything from that at all, from the Kentucky Transfer. That was a long time ago, but we want to do something different this time, and, you know, it's just, I think it's a, you know, it's right there for the taking, we just got to make it happen, so.
I was just gonna add along that line, as far as like commercial real estate, we track it on our economic development website. And so if you know of anybody, because it's a moving target, right? And, especially for a lot of, mom and pop owners, like if they have a space that they want to add to our website, just reach out to me. We'll get it on their site. We get a lot of looks on our website, so just getting more eyes on the property, help facilitate connections between prospective tenants looking and what properties are out there. So keep that in mind. Always just email me if you know of something or give me a name and I'll follow up.
Great. Yeah, the date would be the best thing for us, so. Anything else for the good of the cause? Okay, it's almost 1 and we're done. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for coming. Next month, we do have Gateway Community College will be our guest speaker. Move the chairs to the back, okay.
Thank you so much. It was very nice. Have a great
Kris,
day.
thank you.